This is the Erin Cruz Show. Politics for the people and by the people. With your host, Erin Cruz.
Hello and welcome to the Erin Cruz Show. Tonight we have a very, very special guest on. Her name is ROXANNE HOGE. She is actually a candidate for the Assembly District number
46.
Oh, there's so many of them. Number 46. She is fighting in the belly of the beast. She is in LA. Oh my gosh. I just can't even believe it. But she's an amazing person. I don't know if you see this bar right down here. It says she's our hashtag walkaway guest of the week. ROXANNE, tell us a little bit about your story, because you're a candidate. You're also a legal immigrant. You were also a Democrat.
Yeah, well, I wasn't
Republican.
a registered Democrat. So I came to this country in 1976 from the island of Jamaica. People always think Jamaica Queens, but no, island of, with the beautiful warm water. And I was a kid, small kid, very small kid. Oh. And when you become eligible to be a citizen after you've been here a certain number of years, but I didn't really fall in love with America and decide that I absolutely wasn't going anywhere else until I was an adult. And when I chose to do that, you get to choose a party. And even before that, I remember I was in college, and Tony Holt, the president of the College Republicans, was talking to me, and he said, "Well, you should join the College Republicans." And I said, "I can't do that. Look at the color of my skin, dude."
Wow.
I literally thought that was the qualification. And he said, do you think that you should be able to keep the money you earn when you have a job? And I said, yeah. And he said, and when you have kids, do you think you should be able to decide how you raise them and where you raise them and where you send them to school? I said, of course. Then he asked me a couple more questions, and he said, well, sounds like you're a Republican. And I said, no, I can't be. Again, Jamaican.
It just didn't register, right?
It's not okay. I really bought the message at that time was that every Republican was, remember the movie with the I'm all right, Bill Murray, the golf movie, Groundhog Day, right?
I was going to say, is it Caddyshack or is it Groundhog Day?
It's Caddyshack, another great movie. He's so great. So
yes.
Caddyshack, Judge Smalls,
yes.
That was a Republican, and I was not that, right? So that was, I think, a lot of
messaging
club, right? That's not me. Well, so flash forward a few years, and I was here in LA, and I was alone, and Bill Clinton was running for president, and
you're an actress, right? At this point,
I'm an actress. So I'm running under the name ROXANNE Beckford HOGE because my acting name is ROXANNE Beckford. So I was able to have some success and do a bunch of stuff. It was fun, TV, movies, and so I volunteered for Bill Clinton's campaign, and I just really thought, like, yay, that's who, they care about me. And then I grew up, I had kids, I started a business, and September 11th happened. And I started looking at what the actual platform said, and I did my homework, and I realized that I wanted to join the party that freed the slaves. And I wanted to join the party that didn't inter Japanese Americans in World War II. And I wanted to join the party that basically will leave you the hell alone. And
it's all, I know it's not the Freedom Party, but that's what I really feel and think and view the Republican Party as being, is a space where you can be free to be who you are, where government has its place, and it's not in your bedroom and in your life. And in your business,
and in your light bulbs, and in
your straws,
in my straws. There's
letting felons go, saying pedophilia is a mental disorder, so you don't get a record.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane. And so, yes, it's great that we have a two-party system in America so that people can have, an actual choice. But in California, for too long, we haven't had a choice, right? There's just been one voice, really loud. And then people meekly going, oh, okay, thinking they're alone. And that's what the whole impetus is behind the walkaway movement. More than anything, it's to say, you're not alone. If you're in a group of people going, I don't know, that doesn't make sense to me. you are definitely not alone. And by the way, there's a huge number of Democrats who there used to be something called a blue dog Democrat,
right.
a Democrat who could be pro-life or pro-Second
right.
Amendment or
Correct.
or pro, whatever it was, that there wasn't this heterodoxy of we believe one thing. They used to be a big tent as well, right? There were
right.
two big tents. Now there's one big tent and one sort of Democratic Socialists of America tent. And I know, here's what I tell my kids. If you have to choose between two clubs to join, choose the one that's not going to beat you up for not joining their club.
Right. Absolutely. The one that isn't using bully tactics.
Exactly.
Right. So you decided, what it sounds like to me is that you decided after 9/11 and some other situations in your life where you started gaining perspective that you aren't part of the party of oppression. You are a free person to make choices of your own, and you identify more closely with the Republican Party. But I think when I view, and I think that's wonderful, I think that's wonderful to see that you had that shift, but when I view this walk away movement, because I've been a Republican, I am a Republican, and I've never been a Democrat, but what I view from my angle, talking to people like you, is that the Democrat Party has been completely infiltrated by progressive left radicals who are not representative of most of the Democrat Party. When they have an issue and they're being attacked, Democrats, progressive left, and an actual Democrat will unify and circle the wagon, right? They'll all jump in on one base. But what I'm seeing right now is a lot of the Democrats who are not progressive left looking at their party and looking at the situations that are going on, looking at the improvements and the lunacy of the loony left, looking at the improvements, what the Donald Trump administration has been trying to do to work for the people, and saying, the Democrat Party isn't my party anymore. This isn't who I am. I'm not a socialist. I'm not a crazy radical who wants to subsidize illegal aliens and to
put on a black mask and go beat up people who are, marching under the flag of the United States of America. Yeah.
Trampling the United States flag and waving the Mexican flag, or and then saying that because you love America, you're a bad person in America. There's all these crazy things that the left and the media is, just putting out there that I think that a lot of sane business people, parents, grandparents, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers who are Democrats are saying, this is just not my party anymore.
And not just
and
Democrats.
They're walking away.
I was a declined to state voter, which is, is
right.
like now the fastest growing. It's almost the second highest voter registration in California.
It actually, I think it is the second highest, yeah.
Most of us don't live our lives defined by politics.
Right.
Most people, I want to see my kids. I want to go to their games. I want to see my friends. Like tonight, I'm going to go celebrate a friend's birthday. I don't want every waking moment to be about a Supreme Court nomination or what. And the fact is, people talk about national politics because they're sexy, and right now there's so much passion on both sides. But guess who's doing all the things that can make or break your life here in California? That's the supermajority that the Democrats have in Sacramento of people you've never heard of, that you probably didn't vote for, that you couldn't pick out of a lineup if your life depended on it.
Right.
They're ruining our lives.
And that's why you're running and you're a candidate for the assembly. And I think it's wonderful. To just hear your story, hear how you were a Democrat and a no party preference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or declined to
registered NPP or declined to state, as they say. Funny story. Someone said to me the other day, like, "Oh, well, I'm a registered independent," and I said, that's an actual party. And he said, "Well, no, I'm not with a party." I said, "No, the American Independent Party is a party. So check your registration. It's lovely that America has all these parties, but a lot of people thought they were being independent."
Right. It's an actual party.
Want to be a member of a party, and then they joined an actual party.
Right, right, right. No, it is true. But I think you're on to something there, and we've talked about this in my show previously, is that the regular everyday Joe and Jane, they want to work, they want to spend time with their families. Politics is not right here. We're really into it. Many people is really are savvy and they like to get into it, but we live in a representative republic where people like you, when you get into the assembly, people like when I'm fighting to become, I'm a candidate for U.S. Senate again, we send people to do the good job of government and hope that they do a good job and they're representing us. Right. So and we can live our life and have our Starbucks or whatever it is, your local coffee shop, and I think that's part of it, is that right now we're all too hyper on the issues. And if government was being efficient and doing its job, we wouldn't have to be so into politics.
No, but I think that's actually the thing that turned me even more than September 11th. So was sending my son to public school in LA for 1 year. That's all it took to understand, oh, the money is not the problem. The money is so not the problem. You can't get enough money to make up for the people who don't care about education and who are using the schools as a warehouse and whose kids will sit slack-jawed looking at a teacher because really I'm just here counting the hours until I get to go back home and play with my phone. So that was an eye-opener, but the other real eye-opener was when they passed TARP. Do you remember the Troubled Assets Relief Program? Which was actually the impetus for the Tea Party. And a friend said, well, your congressman didn't write that. Your congressman probably won't read it. And I went, what? We're being lectured to by a bunch of unelected bureaucrats. Forget the people who go to Congress and are there for 20 years. They're just the face of a whole crew of people behind them who
lobbyists,
fill in the
many of them,
bills at the ready. And we want to do something in healthcare. Wait, I got that. I got it. We've had it in our wish list for 20 years. Here you go.
Right. But it's similar. It's similar up in Sacramento, and you said you walked away because that light bulb went on. And you're like, I've got to get involved in the process. I've got to get, more involved in the space where I'm not just this bleeding heart liberal who's just falling for this indoctrination or even just sitting complacent, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's part of it. Even if we're just complacent, we're part of the problem.
Well, I read this great article this week by a guy named Epsilon who said, we're being taken off the field. Good people are looking and saying, well, I don't want to be a black masked Antifa thug, and I don't want to be yelled at and called a Nazi. I'll just stay home. And the truth is that the rest of us in the middle, we need to speak up. We really do.
Right. No, it's important. And when you go, and you look at the people who are walking away, they're regular folks, but they were, I think they were in a space where they were just not paying attention, and they were part of a movement or a belief system or a process, and they're saying, you know what, no more am I going to sit complacent. I don't align with that leftist ideology, that progressive left ideology, and guess what? I'm a Republican. Guess what? I believe in.
And here's what I say to all these
conservative
all our Californians: you don't have to be a Republican to vote Republican. You can go ahead and be no party preference. Go ahead and even keep your Democrat registration so you can keep track on what they're doing. But the fact is, when it comes time to vote, do your homework. Really pay attention to what people say about themselves. They'll let you know who they are. It's sort of like when you read the real estate ads and it says cozy, that means small. When someone says, I'm for, universal health care, that means they want every one of us to be completely miserable.
Socialized medicine.
Good care. Yeah. So
let's talk about socialized medicine. That's what that is. That's socialized medicine, and that's socialism. So what do you want? You want a free market system, or do you want socialism? We know socialism doesn't work. And I think that a lot of people are waking up to the partisan politics, the party politics, the identity politics, and saying, this isn't for me. I'm for America. I love my country. My country is in a really, really tough state right now, and we have to change that up, and I want to be a part of that process. And like you're saying, your registration may not have as much to do with it as it does, as much as being awake and aware and then making the right choices when it comes to the ballot box.
Yeah, and you left out one demographic that's really walking away is young people, because especially here in California, they get that they've been screwed over. Excuse my language. My son is about to turn 21. You have kids in their 20s. How does someone who's 21, 22, 27 even afford a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment in Los Angeles County? How? Without being subsidized by their parents. It's practically impossible.
It's a very difficult space indeed. And I know my daughter just moved to Iowa. She moved to Iowa 4 months ago, and she's happy. She doesn't have 3 roommates anymore. She's living on her own. She has a bigger place. She's working. She's going to school, and she's happy. She's not stressed out. And that's why I said, I've said over and over and over again, and I don't know if you've seen this on Twitter. I know I've seen some of the things you've said. It's like we have to get to the place where we say we need to make California livable again. I mean, we really do, for our children, for future generations. And you make a good point that the younger generation is realizing, shoot, how in the world are we going to pay all this debt that's out there, over $20 trillion? How in the world do we just make our, get food, the
Here
basics
in California, they've made it almost impossible. My son and his friends are looking at other states. I'll tell them to check Iowa. Are looking at other states to move to when they graduate college in 2 years, because it's readily apparent that making a living here, if you're legal, is practically impossible, and that is
without subsidy.
Fair.
Yes. But here's the upshot. I heard a rumor that you're running for assembly, and when you win, you can help us cut a lot of red tape here in California. So
absolutely. I mean, look, we have so many regulations on businesses, on builders, on law enforcement. I say let builders build, let law enforcement enforce the law, let workers work, let parents parent. Come on, let's make California free.
Right. Free again, yes. Sane again, livable again, golden again.
Wacky, but we don't have to be insane. Like I like La La Land, but we don't have to be completely off our rockers.
Well, it's coming to me that maybe the people even in LA are waking up a little bit. Of course, you're going to have the progressive left there. That's not going to change, but I don't know that you can change those sorts of people. They're going to have their own life experience that does that maneuver, but there are a lot of people there, even in LA, who are open-minded, at least to freedom.
Their minds are being opened thanks to Mayor Garcetti, who's given us all the RV encampments and tent cities right outside our homes in Studio City and Valley Village and Van Nuys and Panorama City and Lake Balboa, Universal City and North Hollywood, where I'm running. You walk out your door and you're tripping over garbage and human detritus, and it's not pretty.
Right. Right. Well, I'm glad I'm glad you walked away, and I'm really thrilled that you're taking such a initiative and a part in your community and in the state in the process, because we need people like you.
Thank you.
We do so desperately. Our families, our future generations here need people like you. Thank you so much, Roxanne, for being on the show. Can you let everybody know one more time where they can find information about you, your platform, your campaign?
Absolutely. The central place to go is rightonusa.org, RIGHT, rightonusa.org. And from there, you'll be able to get me on Facebook, where I pine on things on sort of every couple days, and on Twitter, where if I'm following Erin and she's following me, and we have lots to say about lots of information.
Transparency.
And exactly. We're open books. And the fact is that we, the people, deserve our California back.
We do. We do. Thank you again, Roxanne, so much. God bless you and God bless your family.
You too. Take care.
And take care. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely.
We will return to the Erin Cruz Show in just a moment.
So right now we are talking to Roxanne HOGE, and I'm going to tell you, she's running for Assembly District number 46. She's in the belly of the beast. We're talking basically about how, she's running up against an individual who's just moved into this area, ran for this seat, and is just pushing an agenda. And Roxanne sees it differently. She sees it that the belly of the beast is there. It's like an infestation up in Sacramento, and she wants to take that out. She wants to fight the corruption. She wants to basically put common sense back into our legislature and bring the communities back to a place of being operational, serving the public. Roxanne, I'm going to tell you, you're brave. You're brave because you've put your family in the crosshairs. We're mothers. We're family women. And I see that, for example, Stacey Dash, I don't know if you remember, she jumped in the race for her congressional district, and then the heat got turned up on her, right? And she says, I can't run.
Stacey and I are actually friends. We're moms together. Our kids are around the same age. And so we talked about it. And she's taken a lot of flack, but you take the flack when you're over the target. And it's a sacrifice that I've chosen to make. And I'm hoping, very hopeful, that people would leave families out of it. A lot of political consultants will tell you have to have a picture of your family on your postcard. Not here. That's that's not safe. That would be parental malpractice. And by the way, Democrat or Republican, it doesn't matter. Anyone who goes to any legislator, the state legislature or Congress itself, it's like the Lord of the Rings. That precious turns people. And my commitment is not to stay. I don't want to live in Sacramento forever. I don't want to become part of that swamp. And I think
you don't want to be turned into the zombie. It's like this transformation we see. They get in there with good ideas, and then all of a sudden this metamorphosis happens, and they turn into something that you can't even recognize.
Yeah. So I think we have to save all politicians from themselves and bring them back home periodically. Like, Brian Daly, who's the California GOP assembly leader, he has a farm. He works his farm when they're not in session, and so he gets what's happening when they pass a law about the prices of seed.
Right. Staying connected to the real world is important. It's really important. So now, tell me a little bit about your background. You said you're an actress. You're a mother. You have several children. You're obviously a wife. I mean, what puts you in the place where you feel qualified? I always said I'm a patriot. I'm qualified. That I love my country.
Well, yes.
This is it.
The qualification is to be over, the age of. Well, actually, no. For assembly, you don't. You just have to be a voter, a registered voter. I'm actually not from this country, so I'm extra qualified because I came from a third world country, and as a
Which
legal
country?
resident, I'm from Jamaica, which is a beautiful island. And I came with my family because we were fleeing their version of socialism, which didn't work out so well there.
Socialism never works.
They ditched that. And no, it never works.
No matter how hard you try or how pretty you package it.
Yep. I went to American schools and American college. I graduated from Davidson in North Carolina. And like I said, I never really paid attention to politics that much. But when I chose to become a citizen in 2000, you have to go back to civics. You have to answer all the questions, which I already knew the answers to. But it really brought it home for me how tenuous it can be, that how much, and really when you read the Federalist Papers and you understand that the founders intended people to go and serve and then go back to their homes so that they had to live under the laws that they had created. And that, to me, that's what qualifies, by the way, all of us. And every one of us should periodically exfoliate the assembly and get new people in. And so,
Right.
I'm an intelligent person.
You are.
I think most of us are intelligent enough to not be able to understand the text of the bills, right? Like that should be your first clue. If you read, for
Right.
example, Assembly Bill 1810, which they just got and amended something that was about seed prices and made it so that people can get out of prison pretty much scot-free if they can prove they have a mental issue, which everyone does who commits a crime. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't think that makes sense.
Right. Well, I think you bring up a very strong point, which is government has gone too far. It's overcomplicated itself. It's highly inefficient, which it does very well at doing so, and it starts compounding with interest. But it's so complex that it's not serving the people. The bills, I mean, just look at the Declaration of Independence. Look at the U.S. Constitution, our founding documents, and you look at that compared to, say, Obamacare, and you say, where have we gotten to the point where something has to be thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of pages of legislation, and these bills are horrendous. Now, in the Assembly, I've read a few of the bills that are going through, and it's frightening to see how they basically just use terminology to make loopholes, create a space for manipulation, a lot of legalese
through themselves, and then the courts.
It's a cover your butt situation up there in Sacramento.
Yeah, I mean, look what happened with 57. Oh, it's not gonna. We don't mean it to be attached to sex offenders. No, that'll never happen.
Look what it did.
And then the court goes, well, you wrote it in a way that, yes, we're letting out.
Right. And it's and you wonder if that's their entire objective, really. They're not going to say that, but it is a concern. So you're looking at simplifying bills. Is that what I'm also hearing?
Absolutely. My goal would be to have everyone take the Hippocratic Oath. First, do no harm. Get up there and take a weed whacker to the stuff that's been passed. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to see the California Labor Law Digest. Now, a digest should be a summary.
Right.
It's this thick. It's 1,900 pages long. And we've now deputized any attorney in the state of California under the PAGA Act, PAGA, to file a lawsuit against a company. It's basically legalized extortion. So anything that you violate in that of a book, the wrong temperature in your bathrooms, at work, the lunch break time being 5 or 10 minutes late, can set a company a 6-figure settlement because they're trying to make it easy on you. I think we should cut down drastically the number of laws and regulations we have in California. California is full of people who are creative, freedom-loving. By the way, the best-looking people in the United States, because every, prom king and queen gets on a bus and comes out to California to make their fame and fortune as an actor. We've got, still a history of aerospace. We've got a great graduate of the system. Why should we be at the top of every measure of and we're not.
I'm kind of losing you here for a minute. I'm not sure if the connection is still up or not.
No. So I think California would be great. But all materials and we can do.
Roxanne, just give me just a moment, okay?
And now, back to the Erin Cruz Show. Here's Erin Cruz. We will return to the Erin Cruz Show in just a moment.
So we're here, we're talking with Roxanne HOGE, and she is running for Assembly District number 46. And we're talking about legislation, and the rogue, HOGE is done with the people going rogue up in Sacramento. We're talking about the rogue legislature, which is, the digest, okay, the labor digest. It's just huge, and she's talking about wanting to simplify things, simplify the process, simplify the regulation. Tell us a little bit more about that, Roxanne.
Well, it's unbelievable when you start to peer behind the curtain how many laws and regulations our businesses, our people are laboring under. I mean, we're probably breaking a law right now in California that we don't even know.
Sure.
Right? It's entirely possible.
And businesses are trying to operate.
Yeah. So the Labor Law Digest, which is 1,900 pages, is insane, not only because they have to follow all these rules, but California's legislature went ahead and passed something called PAGA, the Private Attorney General's Act, that meant that any attorney in the state of California, and not all attorneys are awful, but there are some who like a payday.
Right.
They can go and file a class action lawsuit. They can file a lawsuit with the under the auspices of the state that you didn't keep your company's restroom at 68 degrees, or you didn't give your employees their lunch break at precisely 5 hours and 30 minutes after they arrived, or whatever you did. And when they file those lawsuits, we all know every lawyer will say, well, yeah, we can fight this in court, but it's going to cost you $1 million, or you can just settle for $500,000. And so these companies,
right,
and that's adding to their costs, which means we're gonna have more and more people choosing to leave.
Right, and what it does is it drives up everything. I mean, you talk about overall costs. I mean, money, time is money. And with a small business, they just don't have the ability to keep up with the large businesses and all of the regulations that are there. And the red tape definitely needs to be cut. Now, another interesting policy that you brought up, which is a new bill that came forth, having to deal with the people who break laws and then basically claiming that they're mentally ill and then being just basically left off, to get off the hook and have their record expunged.
Yeah, it's AB 1810, and if you look that up again, any of these, if you read about
they're lunacy.
Get your blood pressure soaring. So say pyromania is a mental illness in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. I was a psych major of mental illnesses. So if you get convicted of arson, you can say, well, I have pyromania, and then guess what?
Pedophilia.
That's diagnosable. Same thing with pedophilia. Diagnosable
all of
mental
these things.
illness. And guess what? The prosecution doesn't get to make a presentation. Only did the defense. And so you can have your record wiped clean and you can get on with your life. And I understand.
And go work for the school district or wherever it might be, because guess what? You won't have a record.
Right. So a lot of these laws may come from a good place initially, like, oh, I feel for these people. But when you are, as Dennis Prager says, when you're kind to the cruel, you'll be cruel to the kind. And the fact is that the rest of us, the regular moms and dads, people who want to have a family, young people who want to start their lives here, older people who would like to stay in the place that they've lived, for the past 30 years, we're becoming schmucks. We're easy marks for all this compassion that's going only in one direction, to law-breaking people.
Right. It really puts our populace at risk, and it's a statewide issue. I mean, just look at the homeless situation. Look at all of the individuals, our veterans who aren't being served, and here we are catering to refugees and illegal aliens. It's you got that. And other bills that are basically making those felonies into misdemeanors, and now saying that if you have a mental disorder, this bill that's being proposed, if you have a mental disorder, well, don't worry about that. You can go get your help, and then we'll just let you be on your merry way. Just don't do it again. There's no real repercussion for bad actions. No personal responsibility.
Unless you're a legal citizen of the United States, then there's a repercussion. And a lot of this comes because I'm a legal immigrant. I'm aghast that we're rewarding law breaking. And again, it's people say, oh, sanctuary, who would be against sanctuary? Well, it's not sanctuary for a mom taking her kid to get ice cream. It's specifically only sanctuary for a criminal illegal alien that has committed a felony. That's who the sanctuary state and sanctuary city laws are protecting. Right. So I think we have to be very precise and careful with our language and let people know that we shouldn't be making law-abiding people feel like saps.
Right. Alienate the people who are basically funding an operational society, the taxpayer, who's just trying to make ends meet. So now tell me a little bit about your platform, Roxanne, and where people can find more information about you, your campaign. Do you have social media? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I have, the campaign website is either ROXANNEHOGEFORAssembly.com, but because a lot of people can't spell HOGE, HOGE, it's also rightonusa.org. So rightonusa.org. Okay. And from there, you'll be able to find my Facebook and my Twitter. So perfect. Facebook is at Roxanne Hogue for Assembly, and Twitter is Roxanne for AD46. And in the interest of transparency, because again, this should all be available to anyone. I have no hidden agendas.
Right.
On Facebook, you can see me opine on more things than most people want to hear an opinion on. But right. if you want to find it, if it's not there, for example, the lovely folks from the Make Ferrets Legal Association wrote me the other day, wanted to know my stance. I'm learning now more about ferrets to find out what I'd say about that. But my default position for everything is to always err on the side of freedom, right. to defend the Constitution of the United States, to make California a place where it's affordable and it's safe, and that we can all just get on with our lives. I mean, I actually spoke to the Jewish Republican Alliance the other day, and I had to say, California is experiencing an exodus, as we can see, of people who pay the taxes leaving. And right. we just want to say to the legislature, let my people go. Like, stop tying us in knots with all these regulations and laws. You can't have a plastic straw.
Right. I mean, it's pretty amazing what they're trying to, legislate these days. Thank you, Roxanne, for touching on that. We really appreciate you having you on the Erin Cruz show as well. Now, one last thing I want to tell you, and I want to shed a little bit of light on California versus Texas. I know somebody who literally has a $1 million company here in California, okay? Or a couple $1 million company, small business, really, a couple of employees. They're moving to Texas. Why? Because Texas is going to help them build a building. They're going to give them tax breaks. They're going to basically nurture their small business and help them grow. And they want them to come to Texas. Wouldn't it be so nice if California was business friendly?
It would be great. I have a relative who has a business. They want to expand it. They want to stay here. They're in a not great area of LA, and they're revitalizing. The hell that they have gone through to try and just get the permit to improve their own property, by the way. Right. And they said to me the other day, in Texas, when you want to do plan check, everybody gets in one room in one day. The fire department says, oh yeah, we'll say yes to that. And then the cops go, well, what about this ingress and egress? And they all work it out. One place, one day, you're done.
And I'm not saying we have to be like Texas, but I think that if the California legislature and, people like you who are running for assembly, the candidates we can get good people in there like you and have some common sense to it. Look at Texas. Look at Iowa, which has number one in infrastructure. I mean, look at how all of their systems work and basically cut regulations, cut some of that red tape. We have a lot of inefficient government hacks basically in there, just basically padding the system for themselves, keeping the budgets going and what have you. We get good people in there like you, Roxanne, and I have a really strong feeling that we're going to have a better climate for business, for families.
We have all the natural resources here. California could be number one again.
I believe it. And I'm here to support you in any way that I can. We would love to have you on the show again. Again, everybody, we're going to put Roxanne's website in the comments. Please make sure that you go to her website, contribute to her campaign, get involved. It's still a few months off from November, but she's going to need people making phone calls. She's going to need people out there walking precincts. She's going to need you, if you live in her district or you have family in her district, to be making phone calls and saying, hey, vote for Roxanne. So make sure
and if you don't live, the important thing to remember is that California is this linchpin for the rest of the country. It could go good or bad. And if you're in the rest of the country, send $5 or $10 to me or other candidate, by the way, because we need to get our messages out to people. And the truth is that the public sector unions are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to elect horrible candidates.
Yes.
Like
so
what Newsom to California, which will destroy California.
So what you're saying, Roxanne, is very true. Anyone who is a United States citizen and eligible to participate in the voting process and is eligible to vote to contribute to the campaign or federal campaign can go ahead and contribute to Roxanne and her candidacy. Donate direct. I'm a very strong proponent. The party is great. The party is a strong place to invest in, sure. But right now, at this space and time, Roxanne needs the resources to be able to get out that vote. She needs the ability to keep her website going. She needs the ability to get out those postcards. She needs the ability to get out street, signs. You name it. She needs the ability to do that. And when you donate direct, you'll be able to make your dollars count. So go to her website, contribute. You have a link on there, right, where they can...
Yes, I do. And okay. I have a little video on my Facebook page that explains my philosophy about donated money and about taxpayer money. It's not mine. So right. I'll be really careful with it.
Absolutely. I don't doubt that you will. Thank you again, Roxanne, for joining me on the Erin Cruz Show. Good luck in your candidacy, and God bless you.
Thank you, and thank you for all you've done.
Of course.
We will return to the Erin Cruz Show in just a moment. And now, back to the Erin Cruz Show. Here's Erin Cruz.
Hello and welcome to the Erin Cruz Show. We have a wonderful show tonight. I'm going to tell you what, we have a guest here. His name is Joe Billie, and he is amazing. He's in Pennsylvania. He's a patriot. He's a veteran. He loves this country. He was a congressional candidate in the state of Pennsylvania. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're so humble. I love it. So tell me, I mean, this has been just a crazy race in terms of the primary election for so many candidates. I mean, you had an uphill battle over there. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was really I was going against the establishment, and I started out 2 years ago, and it was David versus Goliath type candidate, and but I promised the veterans I would fight for them, and because the current, well, he's not current anymore, he resigned, but the representative we had, he really did not support our veterans.
And what is his name?
Pat Meehan.
Yes.
Patrick Meehan. He was our congressman of the old 7th district. Of course, Pennsylvania redistricted. I don't know if you heard about that out there, but
we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that a little bit. I mean, what it sounds like, I was reading a little bit. I was following your campaign some. I mean, you wanted to come in grassroots and help the citizenry. You're a veteran. You have a heart for the people there in Pennsylvania and in your community. And you were doing the good, long, hard work that any congressional candidate does, and then right smack dab, three quarters of the way through, they decided to redistrict on you after you...
Almost right at the end. I mean, we couldn't even get our signatures for our petitions with the general election people because they were still redistricting. So somehow the Supreme Court of the state, which was 5-2 Democrat majority, got to pick the districts, and it just boggles my mind how that
right in the middle of a federal election.
Mm-hmm.
They redrew those district lines. They threw off your entire campaign. I mean, I watched that struggle and I thought, how could this be? How is the process working? It's certainly not serving the people. So they redrew the districts. You ended up running in the primary, but there was a struggle there. I mean, is it just the stronghold? Tell us about that.
Well, of course, if the GOP was going to back me when Pat Meehan dropped out, then it just would have been me. But it seemed like everyone then threw their hat in the ring. And
okay, how many candidates threw their hat in the ring?
There was 6, and then actually. Only then the GOP picked one of those 6 instead of letting the people do it. They went and then of course she can get her signatures in a blink of an eye. Where we were all trying to go out and get it, and I believe one other candidate got it, but then he was taken off the ballot. I don't recall the exact reason, but I think some of his signatures were bad.
Right.
So during all this, I lost my campaign manager and.
Right.
I hate to make excuses, but
well, there are a lot of things
my whole team fell apart, and I came up short, only a couple hundred signatures, but
right.
It was really just really hurt.
Well, I think people don't understand. I know people know that it's difficult to run for office, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the understanding really what goes into a congressional campaign. It's a lot of work, and here you were, a year and a lot of change into this, and campaign, and then your current runner, he's out, and then now you have a half dozen people trying to get in,
right?
And then you're saying that the GOP put somebody up. You mean they endorsed somebody?
Yes.
Okay, that was your in your area.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. Now, this comes to the point where I think a lot of people have a disconnect and are upset with the GOP. But we have to remember we are the GOP.
Right.
So we have to take action and get involved in our local areas and get on those subcommittees, get on, become a delegate and all of these things so we can participate and we can be that change. So now what I'm also hearing from you is, even though this was frustrating, you're going to run again. This hasn't stopped you.
Oh, no. I promised, I would fight for people. And I mean, that's all. I mean, I've been a first responder now for 30 years. And that's,
Right.
and I do that as a volunteer. I don't even get paid for that. I have a regular job, and
Right.
I leave my family and go help people. That's all I know how to do.
Right. You're serving. You're serving from the heart.
Yeah.
And I think that's commendable. That's absolutely commendable. Now, you're not stopping. You've already started. I looked on your bio on Twitter. There it is, 2020. That's really exciting. And I know there still has to be the general election still yet, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
There's another thing happening now. They won, which I have no idea why they're doing this, but like right now we have no representation. We're
Right.
still the old 7th district until next January. So they want to fill Pat Meehan's spot, but they want to do it in November. Why have a spot filled for 7 weeks?
Wow.
I just don't understand that. And then, I mean, we should have had that back in the primary because he had already resigned.
Right.
So, I mean, we should have his spot filled. And
So it's all juxtapositioning.
Yeah.
Right? They've talked about it. They've strategized. They've tried to figure out what will serve them best. Them meaning the powers that be, Democrat and Republican, right?
Right.
And so that is a quandary. So right now, basically, the people don't have representation.
Right.
How is that serving the people?
Exactly. And then, they're going to have the special election in November. Who are they going to have run?
Right.
They're going to have both candidates run for both districts.
Have you thought of running?
Yeah, I have. It's just I have to wait and see who they want to put up, because I don't know how do you get on the ballot for something like that, because there's no primary. It's just,
right.
Should I change to an independent? And I don't know.
It's interesting. We'll have to talk. I really want to hear more. We have to talk a little bit more about that online, because I think that, what do the people want? This is what I'm seeing, is that the people aren't having proper representation, and many people aren't even aware of what's going on and how this impacts them. Especially, I mean, what you're talking about is a House seat.
Yeah.
The U.S. House of Representatives. We need every seat that we can have in that House of Representatives right now. Donald Trump needs our support.
Yeah.
Do you support the president?
Yes, I do. When the 6 of us sat down in front of the Republican committee people, I was the only one who came out and said, I support President Trump. I support the wall, and we need to enforce our laws that we already have on immigration.
Right.
And everyone's saying, no, we need immigration reform, just catering to people. And that's, you have to decide. You can't just walk the wall. That's all we've ever had.
Right.
People just walk the fence, and they never really make a decision for anything. It's very frustrating.
Correct. Well, I've seen that a lot here in California. Now, Pennsylvania, where you're at, which is currently the 7th and will be the 5th congressional district, is it turning more and more blue, or is it?
With the 5th district, yes, because it goes into South Philadelphia.
Okay.
So, and we pick up there's a small city of Chester and Philadelphia, which is very blue. So
somebody right there is leveraging.
Yes.
And they did that here in the valley where I live in Palm Springs.
But see, one thing about Philadelphia is the people are very smart, and even though they're Democrats, there's a lot of they call them the Frank Rizzo Democrats, and they're the hard-working, blue-collar people, and that's where I think I resonate with a lot of people, because I work in a paper manufacturing.
Right.
So, and I'm a union guy, so it's I think I can resonate with a lot of them, the way I work and trying to do this. It's
right.
I think I have more in common with the average
Joe.
Yeah.
Joe. The average Joe. That's what you are. You're the average Joe, and I think that you said you're a family man. You work. You volunteer. You're a veteran. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. Of course, you're going to have those progressive left individuals who have a certain mindset. But overall, like you said, most people are level-headed. They're not dumb. They're smart. they want good things for their family. They can't afford a bunch of new taxes and regulations and other things. They just want to live their lives and have a good life. So I think you're correct that you will resonate with the populace there. Just because they redistrict it, it doesn't necessarily make that you're going to be out of the picture. It sounds like more so you're fighting the inner GOP.
Yes, the establishment.
Okay. Well, I think that as you come up to November, it'll be really exciting to see what happens there, and that may pave a path when the populace see that the parties are not serving the people. That may give you some leverage.
Yeah.
And we're going to do anything we can over here at the Erin Cruz Show. I myself, we really see the president needs our support.
Yeah.
100%. He's constantly being attacked. The Constitution deserves the respect of veterans like yourself upholding every portion of it, and currently with the Congress that's in place, we're seeing that they just don't care.
No, they don't. They're just in it for themselves.
We'll support you.
It's
definitely.
a shame because there's a few congressmen. I've met a few, and I was recently at the DC versus Heller banquet, and that was Richard Heller who had a big Second Amendment decision. It was the 10th anniversary. And I spoke to a few congressmen there, and they have no idea the person running here, but they've heard of me, which I thought was awesome.
That's awesome. That's really wonderful. So
yeah.
I guess we'd like to see you just keep fighting and networking and growing your base, and we'll support you 100% of the way. Thank you so much for being on the show. Now, can you tell us where people can find more information about you, your social media accounts and other things?
Yeah, absolutely. I am on Instagram, so that's Joe_Billie_4_Congress. And then Twitter is Billie, BILLIE, 4 Congress. And then my website is joebillieforcongress.com.
Now, is that JOEBILLIE.com?
Joe Billie for Congress.
For Congress.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I also have a Facebook page, Joe Billie for Congress. So.
Wonderful. Well, you know what? Anything that we can do for you, we would love to help. Patriots, please go to his website, learn more about him, contribute in any way that you can, getting out the word, using your time, talent, treasure. This man loves the country, and he loves the people in his district, and I know he loves the Constitution. So
yeah, absolutely.
Get involved, get connected, and thank you so much, Joe, for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
God bless you.
All right, too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We will return to the Erin Cruz Show in just a moment.
Hello, everybody. My name is Erin Cruz. I am a political commentator. I'm an author of the book Revolution America, Communication Toolbox for the Modern Conservative Woman. Most recently, I'm a candidate for the United States Senate for the state of California against Dianne Feinstein. Yes, sneaky Feinstein. It's not over, folks. The election is still going. We're still counting. We're in this for the long haul. This isn't just about numbers. This is not just about winning the battle. This is about winning the war. And this is where my book, Revolution America, comes in. During the campaign, I gave away my book for political contributions, as a gift with a contribution and what have you. But now we're kind of transitioning to a new stage. But I really want to get back to the point of why I wanted to bring my book to that space. It's essential. The book is about communication. How do we better our nation? How do we better our community? How do we better our homes if we can't communicate effectively? So this is where Revolution America comes in. My book, Revolution America, Communication Toolbox for the Modern Conservative American Woman. It highlights ways that women and men can communicate to understand where you're coming from versus where I'm coming from. Understand the thought processes that happen and to be able to bridge the barriers and come back to the place where we don't always have to agree. We can agree to disagree. Why? Because we're adults. That's easier said than done. If you look at the political scape, if you will, landscape, if you will, we are in a massive divide. There has been a time unlike this in recent history. There is something about what's going on right now, and the only thing that I can tell you is we have to understand where we're at, understand where somebody else is coming from, and be able to communicate and bridge that divide. You know, I have an interesting thing. I went ahead and I sent this particular book off to many, many individuals, and one of the people who came back and said that they would write a review was Anna Marie Morell, and she is the CEO of Politichicks. Interestingly enough, she said this about the book, Revolution America. She said that, like many of today's modern conservative American women, Erin Cruz felt that fire in her belly and entered the realm of political activism. Oh boy, did I. And then I went 2 steps further, didn't I? In any case, she goes on, she says, in her book, Revolution America, Erin offers ways to not only debate those with opposing views, but also encourages us to respectfully listen to them, to learn who they are, and to in turn, you will hopefully teach them to do the same. I recommend Revolution America to anyone who cares about our country and wants to make a difference. You can connect more lives by building bridges instead of torching them, and Erin Cruz shows you how. That was Anna Marie Morell, author and CEO of Politichicks.com. You know, I wrote this book from 10 years political activism combined with 10 years of business experience, and I put it all together. It's 20 years of my life, and this is book 104. The next book should be coming out soon. It probably will follow my book on the campaign. Yes, I am. I'm writing a book on the campaign. I'm writing a book on the California swamp monsters, literally. But really, folks, we have to get back to the basics. We have to get back to the core. We really need to get back to the space where we communicate effectively and we can build bridges. We want to win the war that will secure our nation for future generations. Let's get started. Go to erincruz.com to learn more about Revolution America, Communication Toolbox for the Modern Conservative American Woman. Also go to erincruz.com to contribute to the cause, which is fighting for our freedom and political activism, and donate to my platform to help support and keep the information spreading and help us keep this platform up and running. Thank you, everybody. God bless all of you. God bless the United States of America.
And now, back to the Erin Cruz Show. Here's Erin Cruz.
Hello and welcome to the Erin Cruz Show. Are you ready, Johnny? We're going to go ahead and do this. 3, 2, 1.
I'm ready for you.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the Erin Cruz Show. We have an exciting show tonight. We have an amazing guest. His name is Johnny NALBANDIAN. He is running for U.S. Congress against one of the most prolific and corrupt politicians of our time, Adam Schiff. Hello, Johnny. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
You know what? I am excited to be on your show, and I'm loving this format that you have right now, and I am doing great. Excited about the campaign, excited about winning the primary,
yes,
and going into good old November.
Right, right. So now tell us a little bit about yourself. I know, you are a bona fide citizen of the United States of America. You love this country. You support President Donald Trump. You are, a Californian through and through. You're passionate. You're in the land of the leftists in LA. Tell us a little bit about your race, where you're at, who you're up against, and all about that. Tell us a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you, I was born in New Jersey, USA.
Mm-hmm.
My parents came here in 1944, ran away from Stalinist regime of Russia.
Right.
And there wasn't a day that went by that I didn't hear about how bad communism and socialism is.
Right.
And in fact, just a quick little story here. My dad, when he got to New Jersey, 3 days later, my uncle who worked for Kodak, if you all remember Kodak, he said, Brom, please take me to the Federal Building. And my dad goes to the Federal Building, sees an American flag, looks at the stem, goes down, kisses the stem first, gets up, hugs the flag, then he looks up and he salutes the flag. And then he walks in, he says, now, I'm an American, I'm a master welder, and that man welded for free and taught other welders, apprentices, how to weld for the war effort.
Wow.
All the way till the end of World War II.
So he really had the desire within him to end, as he saw it, put an end to the communist reign and the oppression of his people from abroad, from America.
They went through, Erin, a lot to get here. The last 2 years before, they lived in Bombay, India, on their way here. Remember, we're talking 1942.
Right. It's a long, arduous travel.
Then later on in years, he went into the steel business and then the meat industry, both.
Right.
And my dad was a hard worker. He's kind of like, I kind of take after him and my mom, both of them were very hard workers. When I was born in the 50s, they had a mom and pop grocery store in Garfield, New Jersey. A wonderful American town that is old America, that it was just such a beautiful place for me to grow up.
Right.
And then we came to California in the early 60s, and we settled in Los Angeles. Now,
it was the Golden State of California at that point.
It was paradise, Erin.
Right.
It was really paradise when we got here. Look, I lived in the three best parts of Hollywood, and they all happen to be my district. I grew up in my
That's where you grew up, right?
Yep.
Yes.
I'll put it to you this way. When we first got here, we lived in West LA, West Hollywood area, near Fairfax and Beverly.
Right.
Then we lived in Los Feliz area, which happens to be my favorite. I live kind of near there right now.
Right.
And then we lived in Central Hollywood. And boy, have I seen things deteriorate.
Right.
And by the way, when we got here, this was a pure red state. Pure red. And let me fast forward to the 80s now. I worked for the Reagan campaign.
Right.
I worked for the Deukmejian campaign, who happens to be American Armenian like me, another one of my childhood heroes, one of the best governors California ever had. And then I also worked for the Trump campaign. Now, for all of these campaigns, except for the Deukmejian one, all of them I was the seafood industry liaison or coalition leader.
Right. Now let's back up a little bit for the listeners who are just now tuning in or who may not know much about you. Who we have on with us right now, my guest is Johnny NALBANDIAN. He is known as the seafood giant. I'll let him tell you a little bit more about that, but he has a background that's just amazing. He's an all-American man. He's running for U.S. Congress against Adam Schiff, and he has a lot of experience, seeing California what it was to now what it is. He just has this desire to restore his his golden state and be a leader in Congress. So, Johnny, why don't you tell them a little bit more about your business background? Because, you know, I just wanted to catch people up in case they weren't aware of who you are and haven't read about you.
And like I said, I was seafood industry liaison for these 3 campaigns.
Right.
So, my specialty, I've been in every side of the food industry,
right.
But my specialty is seafood. And my main feather in my cap is having the Tiffany's of the seafood industry distribution company. We were a distribution company that I started at 19 years old. We started with a little retail store.
And just a young man, that's wonderful.
In Sherman Oaks, California. And we built it up. We went from 0, and remember, I'm at 19 years old.
Right.
Okay? My high school schedule, Erin, was like 11th grade and 12th grade. I'd work 10 at night to 7 in the morning. Excuse me, this might sound funny, but what you see, folks, is what you get.
Seafood giant. What you see, folks, is what you get.
Were doing pee-pee in their bed. I was out growing groceries. I became the youngest 3rd manager in Food Giant history. It was a chain called Food Giant Markets, 57 stores. Anyway,
that's just
going
amazing.
On fast forward, I always wanted my own business. I was actually supposed to go into politics then. My family had a major depression, so I decided politics can wait for another day. Because
Right.
I've loved politics, believe it or not, since 5 years old in New Jersey. And moving forward, when we went to when we were I lost myself. Jesus.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. You were talking about how you were working with these campaigns. You brought yourself up and you wanted to go into politics, but you ended up really in business trying to help your family. You know?
Well, here's what happened. My family went into a depression. So I decided this family will never see this day again. When I say a depression, we lost a sister to multiple sclerosis. She was 26 years old.
That's
and a
tough.
major athlete. We couldn't understand it. My father almost jumped in the grave with her, Erin. And I got to tell you, it just destroyed him. It destroyed his business life. So I had to quit my politics. And as I told you, I just absolutely loved American history.
Yes.
I love the founding fathers.
Yes.
I love American politics and also politics of the world, but mostly American. And
Right.
I went into I said, I was supposed to go into politics. I said, let me go into my own business. So how did I get in the seafood business? Seafood fascinated me. And out of all the departments that I worked in the grocery store, my
Right.
favorite department is seafood. And I thought it was the food of the future. So I saved money during my high school years. As soon as I graduated high school, I jumped in.
Right.
And I had like 10 grand. I'll never forget this. And there was a retail fish market on Ventura and Hazeltine in Sherman Oaks that was bought out by some people that were using it as a front for a gambling. You know, in those days there wasn't internet gambling. So they were like bookies. Anyway, they went broke. The feds went in on them, closed the place. Me, a 19-year-old kid, I go and
an entrepreneur, a man before his time.
Yeah, at $5,000. Okay, furniture, fixtures, equipment. It was closed. So now I got $5,000 left to remodel. We did most of the stuff with our own hands. I begged my father to come in and help me out. He did. And in those days, the retail store was called J&J Gourmet. We had delicatessen, we had smoked fish, fresh fish, poultry, any kind of seafood you can think of, any kind of poultry, duck, pheasant, pigeons. I mean, whatever you can think of. We have beautiful deli, which was more Italian style and Jewish style deli as well. And we had like wines of the world, gourmet groceries. So
this was your first experiment with business for yourself, your own company, and this is Johnny at his start, 19 years old.
Yeah. So, 6 months into the business, we were doing so well, but we had a big back room. That store had a big back. I said, you know what? It was part of my business plan to eventually do this, but I didn't know I'd do it so quick. 6 months later, I went and opened a wholesale business.
That's wonderful.
So we were in the middle of Ventura Boulevard, which was Restaurant Row. We had an advantage. The San Fernando Valley was a very big place at the time, and it was growing and growing. And all the seafood companies were downtown,
right.
And they were also in San Pedro in this area. But we decided that we want to be the Valley's first seafood company. So I opened that, and going on fast forward, from call it middle of 1974, we went from retail to, we still had our retail store.
Right.
Going from retail to wholesale, it took us a good 2, 3, 4 years. We eventually had all the restaurants on Ventura Boulevard all the way to Calabasas.
Wow.
We went through the valley like Grant went through Richmond. Then in the late 79s, we decided to enter the supermarket industry.
It's wonderful.
Supplying supermarkets.
So what I'm hearing right now, Johnny, is you're a man who's seen opportunity, knows what he wants, seen opportunity, and taken action and made things happen. And this is something that will translate to your U.S. Congress run. That, you're no stranger to adversity, you're no stranger to the opportunities that we have here, to us as a nation, and you're going to use your experience to better the nation and to also help your district.
I'm going to, look, we need businessmen in Washington.
We do.
My opening statement and video from September, I got into the campaign in the middle of September 2017.
Right.
And one of my opening statements was, I am not a philosopher, I'm not a lawyer,
right.
And I'm not a politician.
You're a patriot. You're not a politician, you're a patriot.
Time for these guys to go home. They're too comfortable. I'm not owned by anybody.
Right.
Look, when I was putting out my signs, I put out all my own signs, okay, after 10 o'clock. My schedule was campaigning from 3 o'clock in the afternoon till 9 at night. I would take a break. This is 2 months before the June election.
Right.
Take a break from 9 to 10. Then I'd go. My car would be loaded with all our signs. We put up 1,000 pole signs.
Right.
Okay, on the poles. We put up 300 yard signs all over the place. I was climbing on freeways in the middle of the night.
Oh, Johnny.
And so
you had a busy schedule. Now, for those of us who are, again, just joining us, this is Johnny NALBANDIAN. He is running against Adam Schiff in the deepest part of the swamp of California. He is in LA. He is fighting the good fight. He's telling us right now about his campaign, about the hard work running up to the June primary. And Johnny, can you just tell me, it sounds like you did a lot of footwork and a lot of canvassing your neighborhood, but can you tell me what you see going forward as we come towards November? You'd mentioned to me earlier in our pre-interview something about Adam Schiff getting so many votes and perhaps some voter fraud going on, and the guy who was skimming off some votes on the top, that you want to try to capture those votes, that your goal is to really help the people. So can you tell us a little bit more about going forward?
Yeah, well, right now Adam Schiff's been in office in my district, but he was in other districts before. So right. 2013, okay? Well, let me tell you something, my friend. And this is something that's very dear to my heart. He has done nothing, and the homeless have multiplied. In that district's up 75%. Plus, he has done nothing for the young families that are starting out. Actually, whoever I run into and they say to me, man, convince me to vote for you, I'm a
Right.
lifelong Democrat. I says, here's a beautiful question for you, and please, if you can answer it, what has he done the last 8 years when they had a Democrat in the White House, when he could have done a lot? And he takes some false deals. For example, in the American Armenian diaspora, you hear him out there toting, recognize the genocide. He comes around once a year, marches with our people, gets up on the
A photo op.
Yeah, he's an opportunist. He gets up on the stage, he says a couple of words in Armenian, which somebody taught him, and it's
Right.
usually the same words, but this last year he changed a little bit. And then he goes away, and you don't see him till next April 24th.
Right.
Okay.
So don't you think that the people that you're speaking to, I know I was running for U.S. Senate, I'm running again, I was running against Dianne Feinstein, I'm running against Kamala Harris now. Don't you think that the American people, and especially, like you said, you have a large Armenian population, you yourself have an Armenian, you're an Armenian American, as you've said, the Armenian population.
American Armenian. I always use American first.
Okay, American Armenian. But don't you think that the population, the people are smart enough to really see through the politicians who just come in there and try to take that photo op? I mean, I have a background, my family is Jewish. You know, I've told you this. I have a heart for the Armenians. I have a heart for the Jewish people. I have a heart for all people because they have these experiences where, you know, America is the last stand for those people who've been suffering across the globe, and we are the land of opportunity. People need to come here legally, and you can do anything with your life. But the people like Adam Schiff, who merely use, you know, a population, a demographic, use identity politics to try to, you know, corner the market on a voter base, don't you think that Americans are smarter to see past that? I mean, isn't that what you're seeing? But when you talk to these Democrats and say, hey,
Erin,
vote for
I don't
Johnny.
understand something, and I'm going to tell you this. I can't understand. I'm going to talk about my tribe first, okay?
Oh, yes.
I don't know how one Armenian could vote Democrat. Now,
Right.
let me go to your tribe. I don't know how one Jewish person could vote for a Democrat, okay? Everything we stand for, we are conservative.
Christians,
The
Jews,
Jewish
Catholics.
people are great conservatives. The Armenians are great conservatives.
Right.
But some of them have been hypnotized by these lunatics at
Right.
the mainstream media. And you've often heard me say this when you were on my show. The biggest poison to this country is the mainstream media.
Right.
They just want us to hate each other, fight
Divide.
each other. A lot
Divide,
of that
divide,
was
divide.
settled down until Obama got in office. And this guy really wanted to see in the Marxist manifesto, they love turning rich against poor, poor against rich,
Right.
Mexicans against Americans, Armenians against this one against that one, because it gains them power. You
They
see?
can leverage. Where there's divide, they can conquer.
But, for example, and this goes for both Holocaust survivors and Armenian genocide survivors, how can you give one vote to any Democrat? Look,
Right.
just the Clinton Foundation has gotten millions from the Turkish government, okay? And they've never been on the side of our people. They say they are.
Right.
And the same thing I see with the Jewish people. For example, how many presidents did we go through, and Obama, you know, was no fan of Israel. How many
Right.
presidents did we go through until they took the capital to Jerusalem?
Exactly.
How many?
Exactly.
Think about it. They all said they were going to do it. Okay?
It's a
But
talking
they
point.
did not.
It's a talking point,
So how
and
could they vote?
that needs to stop. So now, Johnny, so your response from these Democrats, how has it been? Is it warm for the most part, or does it depend on where you're at in your district?
I'm sorry?
The Democrats
repeat
that you're
that question.
speaking to, the Democrats that you're speaking to, because earlier we were talking about, those people who are Armenians in your district, but you had mentioned that you were talking to Democrats and asking them, to vote for you, and what is their response? Does it depend on where
I got to tell you this. There's one lady, I'm going to talk about a progressive first, then I'll go to the main Democrats. Let's call it moderate Democrats.
Right.
A lady comes up to me in front of Gelson's Market on Hyperion, and
Right.
I says, and my pitch is, hi, I'm Johnny. I'm running for United States Congress. I give him one of my flyers. I sure would love to have your support.
Right.
The lady looks at me, smiles. She says, you seem like a beautiful man. She said, but I can't vote for you. So I stick my paws up in the air. I say, why not? I'm a nice guy, and I got great policies.
Right.
She says, well, you are a mean, you're probably a member of the mean Republican Party.
A mean Republican
a
Party.
Constitutional conservative running as a Republican. Okay?
Right.
And she says to me, she said, I'm a progressive, all proud, like it's the thing to be. Okay? I'm a progressive. So I says, oh, you love free college. And she says to me, yeah, I want everybody to have an education. I says, I love free college too. But tell me something. After you prove to me how to pay for it and make me love it, how do you pay for it?
Right.
They don't know. Okay. So
The government cannot
said,
fund
I
something
already
that
sent
it
in my
doesn't take
ballot
from
for
somebody
the-
else. Go ahead.
She said, this lady said, I already sent in my ballot for the election,
Right.
for the June election, okay? But she says, I'm going to take a strong, hard look at you in November. You've got a point. You got to talk to people out there. Now,
Right.
let's go to the
Absolutely.
moderate Democrats. The moderate Democrats that are out there, hey, one of the moderate Democrats was my master of ceremony on my election night.
That's
when
wonderful.
we had that party at the seafood restaurant. We had a big party. And
Right.
I chose him to be master of ceremonies. And he got up there, he said, I was a lifelong Democrat till Johnny came along. He's put some major sense in my head. And so, what has happened, the moderates, they're more focused.
Right.
They're embarrassed to what the leftist lunatics are doing right now. Attacking
Some people call them loony left. Yes.
So we've got a good chance, Erin, the next 2.5 months to win a lot of people over.
Right. We have to get out the vote. I think this is evidence. Now, for those people just joining us, this is Johnny NALBANDIAN. He is running against Adam Schiff in one of the most liberal progressive left areas of LA. He is really fighting the good fight. If you know people that can vote for Johnny, that live in the area that his district covers, please call them, talk to your family members, talk to your friends, and spread the message about his campaign, because I think this is it, Johnny, is you have to talk to people. You have to get out that vote.
Well, I'd like to add one thing to that. When you say the most liberal, over and above that, he is the major president of the President Donald Trump Obstructionist Club.
He is.
And Brad Sherman's the vice president, and Maxine Waters the loudmouth secretary. And I got to tell you, he said, next Thursday, I'm going to bring proof out, and it's going to be over for Trump. Well, let's see. 5 days have passed since last Thursday.
Right.
I still don't see anything.
Right.
But
they don't have anything
this guy
against
has
Donald
gotta
Trump.
Go. We have got to team up together,
Right.
fellow patriots, fellow America First candidates. Time to team up, and let's beat these guys. We could beat them.
We will beat them, but we have to be unified.
The '88 Dodgers, they were a Cinderella team. We could be a Cinderella unified Cinderella team as well.
Right. Well, now, Johnny, I want to thank you for coming on the show. You are a beacon of hope, knowing that you are out there fighting the good fight against Adam Schiff. in one of the most liberal areas, you know, a man who's just has his aim and his target right on Donald Trump's head, and trying to just take him down and take him out in the U.S. Congress. You want to go in there, you want to do good things for the country, for your district, and stand side by side with President Donald Trump in the America First agenda. Could you please just, in a short clip, tell us, you know, what some of your policies are, where people can find out more about your platform, your website, and that?
I'd like people to register. You can go onto my website. Register takes 3 minutes. A lot of people are lazy. They wait till the last minute. Now, you can go onto my website, www.votejohnny.us. And Johnny is spelled JOHNNY.US. That's www.votejohnny.us. We have a wonderful website. In fact, we're the only website in any campaign that has seafood recipes on it. And those are, I was known as Mr. Seafood for the last many decades. I was on radio and television representing the seafood industry.
So, okay, so they can go ahead and go to your website. Ladies and gentlemen, we really need you to also contribute, volunteer for his campaign, make phone calls, walk the precincts as it comes closer in November, and help Johnny get out that vote. Thank you again, Johnny, for coming on the show.
Well,
and
I'd like to add one thing, if I may.
Of course.
When you go onto my website, go over there and check out our Helping Our Families section. That is very important to me. And the other thing is important to me. One of my new taglines is, I will be the small business champion. Economy, helping families. And what I mean by helping families, no handouts. I'm talking about creating entrepreneurs, creating people getting their own business. God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you so much, Johnny, for coming on the show.
And
God bless you.
God bless our America, right?
Yes. Amen. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
To hear more and to learn more on how you can make an impact or about the Erin Cruz Show, visit us online at erincruz.com. That's ERINCRUZ.com. Thank you for joining us, and see you at the same time and the same place next week.